Hi, welcome to NDE TV. I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is Mary Rose Falzon, and this is her first time ever telling her near-death experience. So I want to applaud her for her bravery because I know it's not easy. And I'm so blessed that she has chosen my show to come on to do that.
Thank you, Peggy. Actually, it wasn't an NDE. It's an what is it?
OBE.
OBE, yes.
An out-of-body experience.
Yes. It happened in 1980, and I was 18 years old. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory because it sort of fits into what happened. I got married in 1979. And a week before or so, I'm not even exactly sure, my grandfather passed away in Europe, which is my mom's father. But
Okay, you froze up. You froze there for a minute. You want to start over, please? Yeah, I just froze. It's okay.
You want me to start over the story?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. So a week before the wedding, I got married in August. My grandfather passed away in Europe, but nobody told us because they didn't want us to cancel the wedding or, give us problems. So the wedding went as planned. And 6 months into the marriage, I became pregnant. And I was 5.5 weeks pregnant. And this is when it happened. So all of a sudden, I found myself on the ceiling. And I'm looking down at the room, and I'm looking at the curtains and the furniture, and then I look down and I see my husband fast asleep and myself also. But because I was 5.5 months pregnant, I was sleeping on my back. And all of a sudden, I thought, okay, what's going on here? And then for a split second, I was on the right side of the room, looking at myself on the left side of the room.
So that you were watching two.
Yeah, it was me here and me here. And
was you a physical form up there?
Just the head, just my head, no body.
Okay.
And that was just a split second because I asked, like, what's going on? And then I looked down on the bed and I see something coming out of my body. And it was like a cloud, or, when you have like cigarette smoke and you can see it in the sunlight, it sort of like floats, separates. And I remember saying to myself, okay, who's dead? I'm not dead. And it kept going up and up and up, and I'm looking at it going up. And as soon as it closed into the ceiling, my grandfather's face appeared. And he was also just the head. And he had no expression. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't mad. He was just there. He looked at me, and as soon as this cloud hit the ceiling, bang, they were both gone. I don't remember.
Both your head and his head.
His head and the cloud.
And the cloud. Oh, gotcha.
And the cloud. I don't remember going back into my body. But in the morning I woke up. It was a Saturday. We were going shopping. And I said to my husband, okay, I'm going to go grab a shower and we can leave. And while I was in the shower, I wasn't feeling very well. And so I got out, got dressed, and the pain got stronger and stronger. And I said to him, something's wrong. I'm in a lot of pain. Can you go tell mom? Because we lived on the second floor of my mom's place, but we had our own apartment. So he ran down and got my mom, and she came up. By this time, I was lying in the bed in agony. And she said to him, call 911. So the ambulance came, and I couldn't even walk. They took me down the stairs and into the ambulance. And I remember one of the paramedics sitting to, I guess it would be the left of me. And he looked at me and he said, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. Hold my hand. And he held my hand, and I thought, how sweet, right? And that was it. I don't remember anything else. I don't remember getting to the hospital or what. I don't even remember what happened after that. What I remember next is, because I was 5.5 weeks pregnant, I had to give birth.
Now, was you 5.5 weeks or 5.5 months?
Months. Did I say weeks? Sorry, 5.5, 22 weeks to be exact.
Okay.
Right? Because I was so far along, I had to literally deliver the baby. But I don't remember anything in before that. And I remember the doctor coming up to me and said to me, I'm sorry, it was a boy, but it was too young to live. And I think they knocked me out, because the next thing I remember, I was in the room. My family was all around me crying. And I don't remember going home. It's the weirdest thing. Honestly, I don't understand what happened.
I wonder if you were in shock.
I don't, yeah, this is my philosophy. Either it was so much trauma that I've been through, and I was so young, right?
Yeah.
And
your firstborn.
Yes. And either I blocked it, or God gave me the grace to not go through the grief. I don't know which one it is. Okay. Because
either one would be a blessing, wouldn't it?
Either one would be a blessing. Exactly. So I don't remember grieving at all, which is unbelievable. How could you not grieve, losing a baby? But I don't remember. I remember about a month after this happened, I was talking to my mother, and I told her what happened. And I told her that I saw my grandfather's face. And she said to me, well, he was there to take the baby to heaven. And nothing else was said all these years. I don't know what happened to this baby. I never got to see it, obviously. I never got to bury it. I never got to name it. And to this day, I have such regret that I didn't ask.
It wasn't done back then.
Well, that was a long time. But for me, it was my son, right?
Right.
But they considered it. I think you have to be over 25 weeks or something for them to give them a burial, or I don't know, because honestly, the whole thing is a blur.
They threw my twins in the incinerator.
Oh my God. Well,
I asked to see him, and he said the doctor's face went white. And he said, we threw him in the incinerator. I'm like, you didn't think to ask? I don't care. I was only 2 months pregnant. You don't even think to ask if I want to see him?
I know.
I don't care if it's a bag of globs. I want to, and it's not ever going to be that. It's going to have form.
They're human. It doesn't matter, if they're 2 months or 5 months or 7 months. To this day, I really sad about the situation. But
I'm sad about mine too.
Yeah, I was so young and so naive about everything.
I'm so sorry. I can't imagine being so young and being that far along and losing that baby.
What happened was the umbilical cord separated from the placenta. That's what I was told. But I was lucky that nothing was damaged in there. And I have 3 beautiful kids now. So it wasn't like they said to me, oh, you can't have any more kids, So that was a blessing too. Although you never forget your child. I've named him. His name is Jonathan, right? So in my heart, I know I have a son in heaven, and he is with my grandfather and probably my grandmother now, because she died afterwards, and my mom has passed away 5 years ago. So that was that experience. Now, a year ago, I got rid of my cable at home and I got a Fire Stick. So I couldn't watch the regular programs that I watch. So I got into YouTube and I watched a program about near-death experiences for the first time. I grew up Catholic, very Catholic. We used to say the rosary. We used to go to church every Sunday. We used to pray before we eat. And I had a beautiful family. That stuff wasn't talked about.
Right.
We die, we go to heaven. If you're good, there's purgatory, there's hell, whatever. I was always fascinated about what happens to us after we die. And I asked a priest once when I was about 10, because he came to our house for dinner. And he just said, don't worry about it, just eat. And I went, what? He didn't give me any answer whatsoever, and it always stuck with me. When I was about 6, I used to talk to my guardian angel all the time, which is very odd. And to the point where I used to make room for it in my bed. And I used to say, okay, I'm going to move over so you can lie down beside me, So I was always, I always had that connection with God, Jesus, heaven. But anyway, get back to YouTube. So I watched the first NDE, and it was just like a punch in the face. And I went, oh my gosh, so many questions that I had were answered in one program.
Number one, it was real.
That's right. So I thought, wait a minute, I was up there on the ceiling. So I wasn't dreaming, it wasn't something that I thought just because what happened, it was like I saw the soul of my child leave my body. That's what happened in that OTB. I wasn't dead, but I got to see my child leaving my body.
But you had some kind of medical emergency that you had to be rushed to the hospital and lost your child and you had the pain.
Oh God.
What did they call that? What was that?
They just said that the umbilical cord separated from the placenta. So you go into, I guess, labor, there was no blood or anything. It was just labor,
Okay. So your life wasn't threatened, but your life of your child was.
Yes.
That's what caused you to have it.
Yeah. I don't know whether that night before it all happened, whether the baby actually died inside or it lived. I don't know. They didn't tell me anything. So I don't know when the baby actually passed away, after it was born or while it was still inside my tummy, right? So and since then I've been totally fascinated by this near-death experience of other people. I've never yet seen one like mine, though, because normally it's about them. But this wasn't about me. It was about my baby, But I mean, the concept is still there.
I think maybe they would call it a shared death
Could
experience.
be, yeah, could be, because I've seen some of those too. Um, I think it was a blessing that I got to witness that, because it gives me a lot of relief that I know that my grandfather came to take my baby, right? And he had just passed. Would have been a year to the day of his death, right? Well, not to the day,
Wow.
but to the month. Let's put it that way. Because I got married at the end of August, and after 5 months, I was pregnant. No, after 6 months, I got pregnant, and I was almost 6 months pregnant. So it was a year, right? Um, so I went to a medium. Oh well, okay. Let's. 5 years ago, my mom passed away suddenly in Europe, and my father didn't want us to go down. I have a sister and a brother, because I guess he didn't want to see us grieve. He had enough grieving of his own to deal with. So we didn't go for the funeral. And my sister was all upset, and I said, well, let's just, this is his wishes. Let's just go with it, and we'll go down after. So about 6 months after my mom passed away, we all went, my sister, my brother, and I. And we, cleaned out her stuff. It was horrible, and we went to the cemetery and everything. And what happened was, I had this vision, and we were sitting in the living room, and I was at the end of the living room, like of the couch, sorry, and my sister, my brother, my father was sitting on the chair. And I heard someone say to me, to my left, go see who's in the kitchen. So I turned around and I looked, and there was somebody standing at the doorway. So I started off from his legs, and I went up, and I looked up, but I couldn't see his face. And I went, what? And he goes, go see who's in the kitchen. And he was very excited, right? And I went, okay. So I got up, he moved back, I went through the doorway, and my mom's kitchen was to the right. So I looked into the kitchen, and I didn't see anybody. So sorry, my earphones. I put my two hands on the door frame, and I sort of leaned into the kitchen, and I looked to my left, and there was my mother. She was standing on a stool, tiptoed, fiddling around with the cupboards on top of the fridge. And she was young. She was dressed in the black leggings, a sleeveless black top. She had jet black hair. And I'm like, Mom? And she steps down from her tippy toes, looks at me, and she stretches out her hand. And I grab her hand. And the moment I did that, the heat went up my arm, all the way through my body. It was pure love. And I woke up. But that was not a dream. That was so real.
You say you woke up, but you were sitting in her house with your siblings?
We were all there. Yeah. But it was like, I don't remember like getting up, like waking up. But I mean, the next day, I'm like, what the hell happened? Right? So I told my sister.
Typical response.
Like, how come I can't dream about her? I go, I don't know. So that was such a beautiful thing that I experienced, because And, you know, I hear a lot of people say that when they see their relatives, when they have a near-death experience, like they're young. And my mom was young too. Like she was probably about 35. And I'm like, wow, you're beautiful. Like, you know, I'm like, God, so beautiful. So, so that was another experience I had. Now, can I go on? I have a couple more that I had. Yeah. All right. So, after my mom passed away, because we never got to say goodbye, right? And I don't know what's harder, seeing your parents suffer for, you know, with an illness, or when they suddenly pass and you don't have a chance to even say goodbye. You know, I don't know what's worse. So my sister and I decided, you know, maybe we can go to a medium. My first time also. Maybe my mom will come through, you know? And my sister said, okay, let's go. So we went in together. And my sister went first, and he told her about, you know, her marriage and all that stuff. Nothing really came up. And then it was my turn, and she said to me, I see there is an old man here. And I said, really? And she goes, yes. And there is a child, a baby, floating around you right now. And he's carrying pink roses. And I said, okay. And then she said to me, and she said, do you know who this is? And I said, my grandfather? Because I didn't have a lot of people that passed away, you know? And she said, well, he told me to give you these shoes and walk in them. Now, when she did this, you know, she said, to give you the shoes. And for a split second, I saw the shoes. They were white sandals. And the funny thing about it is that my grandfather was a shoemaker. So, and I remember him because I wasn't born in Canada. I was born in Europe, and I came here when I was 6 years old.
You're in Canada now.
Yeah, I'm in Canada now. And I've been here most of my life, since I was 6 years old. So, but I remember my grandfather taking me to his shoe shop, because I walked, one of my legs sort of had a little bit of an angle. So he would always take me to fix my shoes. So I thought, how interesting that my mother didn't come through, but my grandfather with the baby came through again, right? So that was another experience I had, which was another sort of confirmation, you know? And then the last thing that happened, and this has nothing to do with my grandfather or anything, but I thought this was very interesting. About 19 years ago, I bought a car. It wasn't a new car, but I bought a car, and it was a Sunfire. And I only had it 1 week. And I went to Walmart, and I parked the car. I went in, did some shopping. And when I came back out of Walmart, I get in my car and I start it, and the battery is completely dead. And I'm like, really? Now what do I do? So I get out of the car, and I see there's a Dairy Queen. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go into Dairy, because I'm panicking, right? I said, I'm going to go into Dairy Queen and think about what I should do about the situation, because I did not want to ask anyone for a boost. You know, I feel like I'm just wasting their time, sort of deal. So I went into Dairy Queen and I got a drink, and it was completely empty. There was, except for a mother and a little boy sitting on a table. So I got my drink and I walked back, and I sat in the front. It was all window. so I can keep an eye on my car just in case somebody gets out of the parking spot beside me. So maybe I can run and say, "Can you give me a boost?" you know. But so as I'm sitting there, I thought, okay, I'm going to call my boyfriend and tell him what's going on. So I called him and said, I can't come help you. He said, I'm downtown. He said, get someone to give you a boost. And I go, oh my God, I don't want to bother anybody. And he goes, well, I don't know what to tell you. Right. So he hung up.
Wow.
That second, someone tapped me on my shoulder. And I look and he goes, you need help? And I went, yeah. And he goes, I go, my car battery is dead. And he goes, okay, let's go. And I'm looking, I'm like, where the hell did this guy come from? The place was empty. I'm sitting in the front so I can see people coming in and out. I didn't see anybody coming in and out. So I get up, I go out the first door, and there was like 2 doors to get out. And as I'm going out the second door, I turn and I say to him, are you an angel? And he just smiled. And he goes, okay, go to your car. I'm going to get in my car and give you a boost. I go, okay. So he brings his car around and he has the same exact car. Another Sunfire. I'm like, really? So he does his thing. He gives me the boost and he says to me, okay, don't turn the car off. And I would take it to go check your battery. Right. And I go, okay. I go, like, can I give you something? Like, this is so nice of you. And he goes, oh no. He goes, just pay it forward. Gets in his car and he leaves. And I thought, wow, I don't know where that man came from, but I think he was an angel. You know? So it's just like little things that happen in my life, nothing spectacular. But you know, because you have faith in you know, God and Jesus and angels, like I think there's a lot of angels around us. You know, we just don't see them. You know, like sometimes I wonder whether God is giving us a test, like say, you know, when you see someone homeless or sitting on a bench, like I remember coming out of a store once and there was this lady sitting on a bench and she didn't look that good, you know. And she said to me, you know, can you help me out? And I didn't have any money because I use, you know, debit all the time. Like nobody really has money on them anymore. But I remember I said, oh, I think I have $5 in my car. So I went to my car and I came back and I gave it to her. And the only thing she said is, God bless you. You know, and I thought, oh, that's so sweet. You know, so little things like that, if we open our eyes and just, you know, like, and be open to things, there is a lot going on that is, you know, sometimes unexplainable.
My husband and I had an experience like that a few months back. I was wanting to do these podcasts. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know where to look. I didn't have a clue on what type or anything. And so I said, well, let's go to Walmart. And because I looked online and I was just confused. And so I'm standing there just staring at this stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking they don't have anything. And my husband and I weren't talking about it. We were just looking and just like, I guess we'll leave. And I just stand there disappointed. All of a sudden, this guy turns to me. He's a young man. And he looks kind of hippie-ish, like we would call hippie-ish, you know, kind of like dread. I don't know. Just like not homeless, but maybe a step above homeless. And he looked at me and he said, are you looking for editing software? I'm like, yeah. Like, how did you know? And he said, well, I worked a lot with this and that. And he wrote this whole story. And he said, you know, you can find a lot online. He said, just go online and da, da, da. And he said, they're just going on for probably 10 minutes explaining stuff to me. And the whole time I'm thinking, you are an angel. How did you know what I needed? how did I run into somebody that could explain it to me right
Mhm.
at this moment? And I'm just like, well, I still don't know what kind of editing software I'm going to get, but I am going to look online. And I know I
Right.
just encountered an angel. And I told my husband, I said, that had to be an angel.
Mhm. No, it's true, because this was what you wanted to do, and it's something that you're doing that's nice, that's good for everybody. So you got the help that you needed with that next step, you
Yeah.
know.
Because I
But a
just
lot,
went ahead and went online and I tried to
yeah.
find the easiest thing I could. And I tried a
Mhm.
few and trial and error. And I got one and then I took off. It's okay. This is good enough.
Mhm.
This is all I need to do. You don't need anything fancy. But I
Right.
didn't know. I thought you had to like buy software, put it in your computer. And I didn't know you could get it online. And I was looking at stuff online. I just got more and more confused. So I just stood there like, I want to do this so bad and I don't even know how. And he just turns around and says, are you looking for video editing software? I'm like, do you work here? He says, no. He says, but I used to work at a different Walmart and I used to this and that. And he says, but basically what I do on my own and this, he just went, I'm like, he stood there and gave me all this time. Gave me like 10 minutes of his
Mhm.
time explaining this to me. And like, how did you read my mind? Know what I was looking for? I'm like, I don't think we're even talking out loud what we were looking for.
Right. Right. Exactly. Well, that's the thing, right? It's like when that guy, I'm like, where'd you come from, and why? Like he was so enthusiastic about helping me. Meanwhile, when you ask somebody for a boost, they're like, really? I'm really busy, or But that's why, like, it's not normal. Like, it's not normal behavior. you know, when people go out of their way to help somebody, it's a beautiful thing. You know.
Yeah. And I just think sometimes those people are led to
Mhm.
help in those moments. We're
Mhm.
feeling like, wow, this is spirit, but I think because I've been on the other end to help
Mhm.
people and they've thought I was an angel, and I was like,
Yeah.
no, I just kind of thought that you might need some help or you look kind of down or, whatever. It's like you kind of,
Mhm.
people get led to that. And I think an important point of this video with you is
Mhm.
that people, whether they believe in out of body experiences, near death experience, where they think we're totally nuts and crazy, make up stuff, we're liars, fine, think what you want. But most important thing is if you have an experience like you had, or if you have an experience like I had, where because on my way to the hospital before the wheelchair, I felt that my pain suddenly stopped. And I had this knowing wherever my pain went, that's where I was going. We get like these foretellings, like you got something you didn't understand. And those things are easy to push it away. Oh, that's crazy.
Mhm.
That's weird. That don't make sense. That can cost a person their life. Because I had that near-death experience as soon as I got to the hospital. And back then I didn't know there's such word or such thing. And I didn't tell anybody. But
Right.
nowadays, if you tell your doctor, maybe you're waking up like you are and I'm out of my body, or I was so sick, like in January, I was so sick I passed out and suddenly I was out of my body. And I went ahead and I
Mhm.
told my doctor. The next day I went to emergency room and I told them, and later I had to go ask my doctor and I told her, and their eyebrow raised.
Mm.
And because nowadays people should know, they've heard this stuff enough. And they can roll their
Mhm.
eyes all they want, but it could save your life or somebody you love's life if they have if they're comfortable enough to tell you, or their doctor tell someone, or you tell someone.
Mhm.
If you're having some kind of experience, you could be in a medical emergency
Mhm.
before you're in
Yep.
that medical emergency. Like
Yes.
yours, if you would have known
Yep.
back then what we know now, hey, wake up your husband. I was just out of my body. My grandpa was here and da da da. We
Right.
need to get to the hospital now.
Right.
And where with me, hopefully a person would be able to say, if what happened to me with my ectopic pregnancy, because these still happen to women. And if, if you just felt you were just dying, or if you've been having a feeling all week that you're dying, you keep calling your doctor and he blows you off, you need to get in somebody's face, because you could be just ready to die and they don't know it
Right.
yet.
Right.
And these experiences can save lives. And that was my main reason for first coming out, because I thought people need to wake up, because I was too scared to tell my doctor. And by all rights, I should have died that night. I was in heaven. I was told, no, it is your time. And the next day, I had so much internal bleeding. I mean, they just sent me to a room to sign away my organs, called my family and said she's not going to make it. They didn't rush me to surgery. I don't think they thought that I was going to last to getting down the hall to surgery. And, by all rights, I should have been another statistic of tubal pregnancy and not be sitting here talking about this every day. But I like to tell people, if they don't believe anything else, believe in yourself. If you have a foreknowing like you had, like I had, because it could cost you your life. Or if someone's telling you they had one, it could cost their life because you didn't believe them, or you didn't say, hey, wait a minute, I heard about this. This could be a foreknowing. I'm just coming up with that word. I don't know if that's really what it's called, but
yeah, premonition.
Yeah.
It's like a premonition, right?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, back then, I didn't know what it was. I never heard of anything like it in my life.
And people don't talk about it, or at least back then even.
Yeah. I just, like I told you, the only way I knew about this stuff is because I was watching YouTube a year ago. And everything came like, what?
Just a year ago, you found out.
Just a year ago. All this time, I didn't know what it was. And everything was just like a punch in the face. It's like, wait a minute. Oh, wow. This is true because I had it. Right. So when you go through that experience and you hear someone else talking about it, they're not lying because it happened to you, So and it was just so comforting to know I got so many answers, even what happens to us after we die. Like I asked that priest when I was like 10, I got the answer finally. It only took 50 years, but but it's a beautiful thing to know that there is a life after death, and that your kids are in heaven, and you can meet people, you meet your relatives after you pass away. Like it's just so comforting.
Because they do try to connect.
Well, yeah, like my grandfather. Another interesting thing is when I hear some NDEs, right? A lot of times it's always the grandfather that comes out. You notice that?
I think it's usually the grandmother.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised when you say grandfather.
Yeah. I hear like, oh, then I saw my grandfather. I'm like, really? Like, what?
I've heard grandfather a few times, but I think usually it's grandmother. Could be wrong.
Well, my grandmother at that time was still alive. So it was the only relative that passed away when I was 18 was my grandfather.
And we're connected in a cell level to our grandmothers. I mean, our mothers, when our grandmother was pregnant for our mother, we were in her ovaries. We were in our mother's ovaries. So there is a connection.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. It just keeps going on and on and on, right? Like we don't know. I've never met my father's parents because they passed away when he was a young boy. But I know that one day I'm going to meet them and I'm going to know exactly who they are, and they're going to know exactly who I am because that's what happens. It's just the knowing once you're there, and it's very. I think it's a happy thing. I think, like nobody wants to pass away, but when the time comes, it comes, right?
Yeah. And I think it is a balancing act when you do start to open yourself up to, well,
Hmm.
somebody may watch this and think, well, maybe, this one experience I really had, it was true.
Hmm.
But they still, you got to keep your common sense, because
Hmm.
not everything out there on YouTube is true.
Right.
And
Right.
so keep your common
Oh yeah.
sense, take what works for
Hmm.
you, throw out what doesn't.
Right. Right.
I mean, because I do too. There's stuff I'm like, I roll my eyes at.
Oh yeah.
And
There is
I
a
mean,
few things. Hmm.
I'm not going to jump on the crazy train just because I have had experiences.
No, no, no. You have to stick with what you believe in, right? What you think is like what you believe in, and you have to be open because sometimes, I listen to people and I'm like, I don't know, that doesn't sound too Christian. You know what I mean? Or like say UFOs but how do we know really, right?
Yeah.
Anything is possible. Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean that it's not real.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just it's so large that and even like these people that actually have NDEs, right? They don't actually get into heaven. They're usually at the doors of heaven. And they always say how beautiful it is and how loving it is. And could you imagine actually getting into heaven, what there is?
I think near-death experiences we're just at the checkout counter.
Hmm. Yeah,
We really
exactly.
haven't got through the door. We haven't
No.
really got out through the door. We're just get at the checkout counter, being processed to go.
Right. Right.
Especially since, my second NDE, when I got this visual of this boy throwing his fit at the checkout counter, what he wanted, and, and no, you can have it. And I'm thinking, checkout, huh? That's kind of like dying. That's like checkout. And then I got thinking, checkout counter. That's kind of like what an NDE is. We're starting the process of checking out, but really haven't left the building yet.
Yeah, that's right. And like, if it's not your time, it's not your time. They send you back. But like nobody that actually dies and doesn't come back, we don't know really what happens, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
the
I've
next.
always said, with the twins, because with the 5-year-old drowning, I was just a ghost kid roaming the earth, running around, being out of body. But with the NDE, I mean, the tunnel, I was like, way out through space, and in the white light, God, Jesus. But I felt I was in a room like an entrance. I felt not told or anything. I just felt once this was all decided and taken care of,
Hmm.
this argument I was having that I wanted to go back and raise my kids and no, you're not and stuff, that I would be on to something else.
Hmm.
And Lee Whitting asked me before the first time I was on indie radio, he said, did you feel the soul of your twins with you? And I said, no. And I thought about it later because he thought that like the soul of my twins, like if I died, they would have died and they'd be there with me. And I
Hmm.
thought about it later, it's like, the twins died because of the surgery the next morning. They had to remove them because of
Right.
the internal bleeding. They were thriving and growing, but one was in the uterus and one was in the tube stuck, half the uterus and half. So having the surgery kills,
Yeah.
you can't have a surgery like that and survive.
Right.
And so, even if it wouldn't have hurt the one in the uterus, still the surgery on the tube to remove that one that was stuck, but, and so much internal bleeding, who knows, but, I assume they died at the moment. The doctor did the surgery and then they got, thrown out in the incinerator. I'm sure they was gone before that, the moment they're removed from my body for
Right.
life support. But,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think there are too that nowadays they're more sensitive to miscarriages. I worked at the same hospital where that happened to me at in 2010, 2020, shoot, in 2000, I'm sorry, 2000. and a young girl, I think she was 15, come in, and they said, oh, you just got bad gas pains or something. It's going to let her go. They went ahead and did a pregnancy test, and oh, she's pregnant. She was a few months along. I think maybe 5 months. And they got her and her mom got ready to leave, and the girl was in a room, and she was so upset. She says, first they come in and say you're pregnant, and then they come back in and say you're losing it. So she had like just, oh, I'm a mother, and then oh, now you're a mother that's lost a child, all in that quick a time at only 15. And she was very upset. Her mom's trying to console her. She's so confused. And I stepped in the room. I kind of overheard stuff going on. And so I put myself in that situation. I said, would you like to hold your baby? She's like, can I? Because they were just going to discharge us and leave the emergency room. I said, no, if you want to hold your baby. And so what they did is they put her up in can't say the word, obstetrics.
Yes.
Okay, the baby ward. Put her up there.
Yeah.
And they brought her baby into her, and they wanted me with them. And I was in the room with them, and they brought the baby in. And God bless those women that knit them little baby outfits for preemies. And I had a little knitted outfit on. And it was the size of a Barbie doll, only not the shape of a Barbie doll. The head was bigger, more like a tiny baby doll, like the baby doll size body, but the head's big. And they said this was a normal size, shape, everything. And I was surprised that the skin was black. Oh. And they said all babies are at that stage. I didn't know that. I thought that was very interesting. Yeah. So she held her baby, and so then the questions came. Do you want to take it home? Do you want to find a burial? So they decided, they named it. I think it was a little boy. And they were taking it home to bury it in some type of a flower garden.
Oh.
And they, like it went home in a box.
Yeah.
And they do so many nice things for women now, but they got to know they can ask for it. And that's the thing. I think they should all be given that opportunity.
Exactly.
I think they should do it at abortion clinics. Do you want to take your baby home? Put those parts in a box and send it home and tell them to name it and bury it. And see if they choose that again. You know what I mean? It might be a different scenario. But these are the same dignity in my book. But yeah, it was a very I don't know what to call it, for me, a moment for me to be there with her when I never got to be there with mine, and to have to overhear it. And because what happened to me, I injected my life into hers and made sure she had a different outcome with the death of her child than what I had. And so those moments when you can give back like that from your pain.
I was lucky to have you do that for her.
I felt lucky to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To be able to do it.
I know. I wish I had that option. That's for sure. I to this day I don't know what happened after. So.
I was talking to a woman on one of these podcasts the other day. Lost her baby, and I said, she's mourned like you and I all these years. And I said, I don't want my pain gone, because that's all I have left. That's all I have of my baby is the mourning. And I don't want the guilt gone either. People say, oh, don't feel guilty because it was my fault because I had the surgery, tubal ligation, then tubal reversal. And I said, I don't want to take that guilt either. Because that's all I have of my baby is my pain, my heartache and my guilt. And I want my guilt. I don't want anybody to take my guilt. Like, it's what I have of my babies, and I'm keeping it.
Another thing I think also is that, like I've heard anyway, that we plan our lives before we come into this world, right? Like with our.
I don't believe it myself.
I don't know, right? I really don't know if if that's true or not, because you don't remember, right? But a lot of people say, oh, you picked my mom and my dad and this and that, right? My brothers, and I don't know.
Yeah, I hear it because they excuse bad behavior with that theory. They excuse abortion with that theory. They excuse a lot of things. Oh, well, just go ahead and have abortion because we don't really die. We all live on. And that baby decided with their guys in heaven before they come to the earth plane that they wanted aborted and reincarnated later. And I thought, boy, what imagination people have to justify what they do. Because there is absolutely no proof of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's just me. That's just me.
No. Like I said, there are a lot of things we don't know, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically boils down with what your beliefs are, and and my beliefs are simple. I believe in God. I believe to be good, to be a good mother, good person, and that's pretty much it, and hopefully when my time is up, I will go to heaven, and I will see my kid or my child again, or my dog or whatever.
And just like whatever it's called, the doctors have to take some vow, first do no harm. No matter what your theory is or your beliefs, first do no harm. Right. If your beliefs are causing you to harm other people, then you might want to rethink it. It's my philosophy. Even like war, people are talking about stuff, and I'm like, first do no harm. Yeah,
exactly. It's a crazy world. Everybody has such different opinions, and a lot of people don't believe at all. Like a lot of people believe that once they die, that's it. There's nothing else. So
yeah, I said, well, you'll find out, won't you?
I don't know. For me, it would be a sad existence, but I mean, it's you're here and then you're gone. That's it.
And everything in life has a point, the bird, I heard something the other day, the bird eats the seed and drops the seed and it grows a plant, and then this eats the plant, and then this is the animal, and everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
And so, and they want us to think that our lives have no purpose. So
no, I don't believe that at all.
But my first moment in the bright white light, before I see anything else, I was like, wow, it's real. The whole God, Jesus, everything. It's real, because the whole Bible thing, I thought it's real because I was somewhere else, even though I didn't see all these wonderful things other people say they saw. Right. It was just, I was still alive. I knew I had died because I went through a tunnel, wasn't up through space. You don't do that in a casket, like, and like, wow, it is real. And I thought, I wish I could tell people. I wish God would send people back to tell people it's real, because maybe if he did, people would behave differently. I thought that. Wow. I did. And it was just a thought, not thinking I'd go back. Right. Not thinking about anything else other than, wow, it's real. It is really real. And why doesn't God let people go back and tell? Because, the Bible's getting old and outdated, and people are tired of hearing the stories and same old stuff. And, and it doesn't work anymore for this day and age. But if people could go back, just send, a percentage of them. And I thought that. Of course, then when I seen this outline of people, and I seen one sitting up front and center, that has to be God. And I thought I had a complaint department, and I started bitching him out. Like, hell no, I won't go. You can't make me, boo boo. Like, who did I think I was? But I was determined. But that was different than my first original. Like, wow, And but once you see someone, okay, now can I complain? Do I get a choice? Do I, I got to go back. I can't stay here. and so people
Wow.
say, well, your experience wasn't beautiful, or wasn't this and that. And I said, but it was what worked.
Hmm. Everybody, I think, gets the experience that they need. There's a
Because
lot of people that are atheists and they have a near-death experience, and they're like, "What?" You know?
yeah,
Wow.
I heard one atheist that had near death experience say, well, okay, it was a place like what you're saying, what heaven looks like. And there was a person, what you're saying God's like, but I'm not saying that's what it was. There was something there, but I'm not saying that's what it was.
Wow.
You can take, what is it, the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink or something.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well,
Oh
it's been
well.
so nice having you on. And
Thank you.
I hope this
Thank
is
you
just the
very much.
beginning of you telling your story.
Well, I mean, you sort of have to, like you said, be careful who you talk to because
Yeah.
they'll think you're a little bit woo. But I felt that I think I should. Like I said, I only realized all the stuff, believe it or not, a
Those were
year ago.
gifts.
Yes. So I thought, I think I'm going to share it, and see maybe someone else had the same experience. I don't know, as I did.
Have you
So,
ever watched Jeff Mara?
yes,
I could get you
yeah, I've
on.
watched it.
I can get you on Jeff Mara.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, if
We'll
you
see.
decide you want to, let me know and I'll talk to Jeff for
Mhm.
you.
All right. No
Okay.
problem. Thank
Okay.
you so much, Peggy.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right.
You keep up
Bye-bye.
the good work, and I'll keep watching your shows.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All
Uh-huh.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.